And we're back in the studio.
Yeah.
It's the people who are dads or granddads again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
You've had a child since your last visit on your own podcast.
Yeah, and what a fucking breeze that second one is.
Do you think it's the fact that you've already got XP in the realm of having a child, and it wasn't the fear of the unknown that come with the first one?
Well, yes, certainly. Like, so with the second kid, the bubble doesn't exist, right? When you have your first kid, right, if you do it well and you've got a family that are understanding, you've normally got like a week, maybe up to 2, sort of at home by yourselves with the occasional visitor where like it's just you two and the baby, and your life's changed because you're no longer a couple, you've become a family, and you don't know what being a parent is. So you're like paying attention to every little thing about the baby. It's changing all the time. And then you got the second one, and that bubble doesn't exist because you got a 2.5-year-old there
that needs attention.
Oh, and also who is way fucking better. Like, man, look, I love my daughter. She's boring as fuck.
Aye.
She sleeps 22 hours a day, and when she is awake, I get to hold her for like an hour or two to change her nappy, to burp her, to be like, can you see shit yet? Nope. And then it's titty milk.
Yeah, because I remember you going through that phase of like acceptance with Caelan when he first arrived, and you were like, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I was out in altitude, and you were doing like solo podcasts. Yeah, so I was listening to all of that, like, and I was like trying to understand what you were going through with having a kid. So you've got that now, but you've also got the really entertaining 2.5-year-old.
And he's so fucking funny.
So you're like, you're not in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry to age you, little girl. You can stay a little girl for as long as you want because I've got everything that I need from this
100%. Like, it's
interactive infant.
Yeah, like I certainly feel like I'm not wishing her to be older quicker because you're able to like appreciate the little things more. Also, man, being able to put a fucking baby down and it just being there when you come back is
because the fact
can't do anything.
that since that day when we were in the Gold Coast and Caelan just decided that he was going to get up and wander around.
Yeah.
That was just that your life changed on a dime from that moment.
Well, there's a point where like you know, man, I can leave her on a couch because she can't fucking roll over. I know the big parents being like, you shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, but I can. Right? She can't roll over. There's nothing like...
Do you put her like in the crease of the cushions? So there's just like a little bit of... Yeah,
just in the wedge that way. Not with her head towards anything there because she can still be stupid and turn that way. But change... Oh, so one of the big differences... I remember when both my children are like successfully breastfed just because like Cara's got massive tits and her milk came in and she gave it a go and she really enjoyed the process. A lot of mothers find it quite painful or it's just, man, if you don't breastfeed your kids, cool. My wife does, loves it. With Caelan, his shits smelled creamy and sweet because it's just the milk goes through, they get the nutrients, and then basically fucking milk comes out. Yeah, yes. And there's even like little seedy bits in it. And I remember being freaked out by Caelan's boob being like, this isn't off poo.
It looks like it'd be nice with a bit of spinach.
It smells like creme brulee. like we are designed as human beings to be repulsed by the smell of shit, so we don't eat it. There should be no point when your kid takes a shit and you're like, I mean, that's not... Yeah. So I'm fully expecting it to be the same thing for Ayla. 2 things I learned. 1, women are liars and they do shit. Right? Yeah, they do. I don't know what age they stopped doing it.
I mean, you're the first person that I know that's had proof.
Yeah. Well, they clearly stopped at some point, but this bitch shits. Cara's still doing bedtime with Caelan. We've got a great routine with that. I'm able to like, Cara feeds Ayla, I burp her, put her down, clean the downstairs from the chaos of her son. I do that. She's still upstairs. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to do a workout. I can set my baby in a wee rocker. Right? She's asleep, or she'll just sit and stare at fuck all. And I'll just do some...
You break dance like an Australian.
Oh, we'll get onto that. And I'll do my fucking workout. So I'm sat there and she's making noises and I'm making noises. I'm like, and she's like,
we're both killing out a turd.
Man, this 7.5 pound fucking baby did a shit that instantly stank out the entire room to the point where I was like, I was like, you've ruined my gym sesh.
Coke shites.
Oh, but I've no idea. I've no idea how it started.
Oh, it should have been Kaelin having coke shades, because did Karen not have a big night on the gear before she knew she was pregnant?
Oh yeah, way back. Yeah.
Like,
that was like,
it was like, oh no, you got the pregnancy results. You're like, oh god.
Well,
let's just pretend that the last couple of weeks didn't happen.
Well, we found out she was pregnant when she was 7 weeks pregnant, and then because it was like towards the end of lockdown, we did math in our head, and we were like, oh man, we had some pretty bigs out at 4 or 5 weeks. And that's why we had so many scans early doors with Kaelin, because we were like, he's not in there. Like, and if he is, he's got a fucking successful business.
So this shite was did it look as bad as it smelled?
No, fucking tight, man. It's so small. Like it's the volume and like the effort that they put into shit, and then with like what actually comes out is.
When do they start dropping coffee beans? Is it always just messy? Do they ever have dottles?
No, it only gets solid when they start getting solids.
Right. Okay.
And that's when the actual fucking nugs come out. Here's something.
Is that the same for us if we live on Huel?
As somebody who lives on Huel, it doesn't change your shit, but your farts are horrific. Here's something I've learned, and I want to say this with a precursor of I am a feminist, and I don't mean this as an attack. Fucking
but
baby vaginas are gross.
Imagine that,
right?
And like the wiping and all that, like is it not like grouting? Not like grouting tiles.
Yeah,
it's like no, I've just wedged a fucking fanny shut with shit.
But it's easy to wipe shit off your dick, and any gay guy out there will back me up, right? It's you just fucking you mush it, you just all around, it'll all come off. Everything's external. You can't smoosh shit around.
There's nowhere it can go.
No,
I mean, like it's. I mean, you've seriously got something wrong if it's when doing your job side, like.
Oh yeah, and also kids, baby boys' foreskins are so fucking tight at that.
And if you have got straight up your job side, it's getting fired out soon.
Yeah, like I can't
spat straight back out.
I can't imagine
back to where you came from.
The parents that have circumcised their kids because a doctor in America told them to, and they believe voodoo science, right? Where if your kid's got a little fucking belly that you can see, you must happen to be wiping, like occasionally wiping shit from under like the rim of that dick. Fair enough, that's your religious choice, I guess. With a fanny, you got to wipe down and out and like away, and you got to make it all there. And here's another thing: our daughter hasn't had it, but they sort of threw this in as a like, oh, and by the way, apparently up to 50% of the time, baby girls get periods.
No.
Because they've been in their mum's body, and because of the hormones in the mum's body, and because obviously there's a female body growing inside of them, just the little girl body just gets a little bit confused. And because baby girls are born with all...
You're born with all your eggs, right? And that's when like freezing eggs is they'll go, right, you've got some of these left, but not for long. We're going to fucking put these in cryogenic.
So because of the hormones going around their body while they're in there, when they come out and all the hormones released during fucking childbirth and stuff for like 3 months afterwards, she's not had one, but I'm like, why did you tell me that when I was going out the door? And also, why am I just learning about this now?
So, like, if your baby's kicking off crying, you can go, time of the month. Time of the month.
Are you still sinking already? Aye.
Because I found out as an adult that, like, you get little baby erections on boys.
And they get them while they're in the womb. Because
I don't remember boners as a boy. It wasn't until, like, I started, like, reaching an older age that I remember boners.
Aye.
But did they happen?
Yeah.
Like, did I just not remember them? Because I just didn't know I didn't place it. Like, I didn't know what it was. So it was just a normal thing.
Yeah.
And it hadn't been sexualized yet. So I just didn't even acknowledge that was a thing.
Our son has a bone, like, when we go through, like, our days of, like, some days we're better with potty training than others. It's an ongoing process. But, like, when you're at home, you can just leave him without his pants on. Just so, because when he's got pants or trousers on, he's sort of like, oh, nappy, and he'll have an accident fucking 5 out of 10 times. Whereas if he's completely naked, if he's Winnie the Pooh, he never misses the potty, right? But because of that, you're just leaving him with his cock out all day. And as anyone who has a penis knows, I mean, you play with them. You just touch them.
It's going to catch a draft.
He's walking around with a boner, and man, he flips it like the little fucking the door stops. And then you gotta have these conversations as parents. You're like, what do we call? Like, so obviously it's his willy, right? We don't mind him calling it his willy because that's what it is. But we're like, we can't call it a boner. Right, you can't call it an erection. That's right.
And even though like it's arousal, even if it's not sexual arousal, it's arousal. You can't call it arousal because that has sexual connotations.
Wait, but it's not even. Yeah. Well, I think even arousal is just.
Like a dog wagging that tail, that's arousal.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It's just been used so much to describe
sexual arousal. Aye. yeah, and like I remember talking to Cara and just showing my fucking male ignorance of. So Cara just, which is fair enough. She was like, "I'm not changing any of the nappies while our cord is still there. I find it disgusting. It's gross. I'm just not doing
My
it."
baby gives me the ick.
Aye, and I'm like, fair enough. You're doing all the feeds. You're waking up in the middle of the night to fucking feed her. If my job is to change the nappies, my job's to fucking change the nappies. So I'm just every day wiping this tiny little baby vagina. And most of the time it's poop, right? I've seen her pee, comes out at a weird angle. Thought it would be way more spray, but it comes out in like a thing enough. Wee arc. I'm just like, she keeps getting like fucking wee, fucking snotty vaginal discharges. And Guy's like, yeah. And I'm like, when does that stop? And she went, what are you talking about?
Can't check the laundry basket.
Aye. Well, I guess because Cara does the laundry and I do the bins and the cleaning and the stuff.
You never see the snail trails.
That's why. No.
So it's like there's a whole new world of like you've got a female one and all this new stuff that you've got to learn.
Yeah, lots of learning to do. Lots of
female anatomy.
To do. I've had. This is not a good story. I know this is a fuck up on my part. This is bad parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying this with the desire that this is not clipped up and put on the internet. This is just for the listeners just now. Bad parenting. Not against my son.
What did you do?
So we take Kaelin out to soft play. We bring baby along. We're like, because obviously Kaelin needs to be entertained. We're much more confident going out. We're at the soft play. Now I am. I'm pretty much, I'm a helicopter parent, which I know like parents who've had like 3 or 4 kids hate helicopter parents because it's like, just let them be free. I get that. But also my son is a very gentle kid, right? He's a real sweetheart. Like at the moment, he's just going through this phase where he says, thank you so much to everything. And he also understands the difference between like, I'm sorry I did that, but also I'm sorry that you're sad. So if like Cara's ever feeling ill, he'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. And he like means it and that. And we just don't want him to lose any of this.
He doesn't think that he was at fault for being sorry, but he's like,
no.
He
doesn't push, he doesn't kick, he doesn't hit, he doesn't have any of that aggressiveness in him. And, you know, I don't want him to learn that from other kids. And I don't want, if he does learn how to do that, I want to be there to make sure that I'm there to stop it.
That the emotion that he feels is valid, but the action that he takes might not be. So you want to be there just to steer that action. So
my initial fuck up, when I knew I had this bigger fuck up in me, and I probably should have been better at it, was before our daughter was born, I took him to a plaything, and like there was these 5 and 6 year olds, and their parents were nowhere to be seen. They were just saying, I'll have coffee somewhere. And I'm like, fair enough, old enough that they're running around doing their own thing. But still keep an eye out. You can sit further away, but still be...
There's kids like 3 times the size running around. Yeah. I could knock them over.
And there's all these little fruits and lying around that all the kids play with. And these kids have just hoarded all of them, taken them all away. My son's found 2 bits of fruit that he just wants to himself, which is fair enough. But these other 2 kids are just there waiting for Kaelin to drop these 2 bits of fruit so that they can take it and add it to their hoard. So I'm there just like on point, being like, if he drops them... And
he's not even aware that this is happening, but you're creating a shield.
I'm not a shield, just they're there like vultures, and I'm just there as a fucking faster thing to be like, if he drops them, I see them going for it, I'm like, nah, these 2 are my sons. You've got an entire hoard there. I understand you're like trying to catch them all, have a completionist thing. It's not happening on my watch. Eventually, he climbs up this thing, puts them down the slide. I have to run to the bottom of the slide to get these 2 things. One of the 6-year-old girls runs up and tries to get them. I'm like, no, you got all those ones, and that's a really good collection. You can go play shop or whatever. My son wants these 2. She's like, we want those ones. I'm like, well, he's playing with them now.
I'll trade you 2 of yours for these 2.
I'm like, he's going to get bored of them eventually, right? And then once he does, you're more than welcome to him, right? They just stay there. He puts them down the slide again, and they go for them, and I'm just grabbing them, like grabbing things faster. And at one point, one of the girls goes, I want them all. And I just went, I don't give a fuck, right? And I just watched this 6-year-old run off into the distance being like, I don't give a fuck. And I'm like, well, I don't take any personal responsibility there, because if you don't want your kid to learn swear words, don't let them be a cunt at a distance. Right? That's, if you were there to stop your kid doing that, at no point would I have had to get to that stage. So I go back and I tell Cara that story, and she's like, well, that wasn't a great moment. I'm like, probably not.
Not my finest.
Did
it though.
Also, my argument is also like, you know, don't teach your kid, you don't keep swear words for your kids, you teach them not to do it.
And how to use them.
And how to use them, and about something I clearly never learned. So the other day, we're at this other fucking soft play, And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and be less of a helicopter parent. Kaelan starts going off in the jungle gym by himself, walking around. And I'm like, great, awesome. And I'm watching him like through the nets, just making sure. And this 7 or 8-year-old kid, Kaelan's trying to climb up this thing, grabs him by the scruff of his shirt, right, just sort of holds him there, just not letting him climb up any further. And Kaelan sort of laughs for a bit. Right, but again, he's no idea.
Because he's been interacted with and he's known the world to be a nice, pleasant place.
But this kid is just holding on and just not looking at him, not doing anything, just and then starts dragging him down the thing, like on his arse. And right, so I have to run through this fucking maze of nets to get there, right? And I finally get there, right? I pick up Kaelan, right? I get the kid's hand off him. I'm gentle about it. I'm not rough. I'm just like, get your hands off of him, right? And I'm looking around immediately being like, whose fucking kid is this, right? Because I'll always give you the chance to be a fucking parent.
How old can you be at the soft play? I feel like 6 and 7. Is that not a bit old for the soft play? Is that not park level?
Yeah, no. To be fair, no.
I don't know the answer.
There's a big one, and also there's one for toddlers as well. And there's one for babies. Like my son's in the bigger one. So
he's just moving up a class.
If he gets bumped over, I'm not like, who did this? He's in the bigger one. He needs to learn to like get out the fucking way. Right? And I'm like, don't do that. He doesn't like that. Kaelan's crying on my arm. And the kid's like, I can do what I want. I'm like, well, you can do what you want, but not in terms of like other people's. And again, the whole time I'm having this conversation, I'm like looking around for the dad and the mum to be like, come in and be with you.
And you're also trying not to just tell him to fuck off like you did last time because you're trying to grow as a parent.
Right. And the kid's like, I can do what I want. Doesn't matter. I can do what I want. And I just fucking snap. And I look around and I make sure nobody's looking. And I get right up in his face. And I go, you're an ugly little boy. You're an ugly, ugly little boy on the inside and out. And I grab my son. And I walk.
Oh, man.
Right?
Serial killer unlocked.
Yeah. So
Core memory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I'm now looking back being like, he's just getting in the back of his dad's car. And then just be like, I'm an ugly little boy. I'm an ugly little boy. And his dad's like, I don't know where that came from.
The man said I was ugly.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like,
inside and out. Cutting bit to a child. You're ugly on the inside.
Right.
You're still trying to learn the world.
And so I'm sitting there, right, and like my fucking, I sort of calmed down a bit. Kaelan's still fucking crying, and I'm then explaining to Kaelan, I'm like, hey man, like what that boy did was wrong. You have to, like,
you're talking about yourself, were you?
You have to say, please. You have to say, don't touch me, get your hands off me. You're allowed to say this thing. We don't hit, we don't fucking push.
Stop it.
But you're allowed to.
You're allowed to say no.
All that stuff. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh god, okay. And again, by the way, the fucking parent of this kid is nowhere to be seen. So I'm then at the stage where I'm like, right. I'm gonna go apologise to this kid.
Turns out it's Hezbollah.
I'm gonna go apologise to this kid, right, and just be like, hey, I'm sorry, I fucking snapped. I'm an adult. I should be better in this fucking scenario than you. I watch this gran with her 3-year-old who's just on a fucking tire swing, and I watch this 7-year-old kid grab the girl by the scruff of the neck again and just yank her off the tire swing.
Oh no!
Right, and the gran going through the same thing up, dude, just being like, whoa! But she's better than me. She's done this. She's raised kids to the point where having kids. She's like, hey, that was.
She didn't try and set him a core memory.
She explains it to him, he's again sort of fucking has this thing where he just like starts yelling at her, runs away, pushes another kid over at this fucking thing. And I'm just like, this kid is a fucking terror, right? And then I'm like,
no sign of the parents.
No sign. Well, eventually the fucking dad comes
Is it
in.
at the point now where you're like, we've got beef with the parents? There's a collective beef with the person that's meant to be looking after this child.
There's at least at this point that I've made eye contact with 3 other parents, and we're like, whose fucking kid is this, right? Eventually this dad gets off his fucking phone, comes in, and is like talking to, we don't hear the conversations, talking to his fucking kid, right? And all these parents are me included, we're ignoring our kids, just being like, you better fucking admonish this kid. And then just in that moment, like, you can just sort of see like how drained the father is and how fucking tired he is. And he starts taking the kid out, and the kid starts fucking lashing out. And I'm just sat there being like, I think I've just screamed at an autistic kid.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you have known? I mean, the answer is just don't do that.
Just don't do
anyways,
that.
On the off chance.
Just don't.
Yeah, I also I I didn't like proper heckle, put down, or slam, but there was a guy in my audience the other day that looked like he was asleep, and then when I looked back again, he was doubled over, right, like bent double at the hips, and asked him if he was all right. I didn't slam him or anything, and I just went, "Oh, it looked like you were sleeping in the hot rooms now that you might be out." And he was like, "Oh, I was just getting me drink out of my bag." He wasn't, but I was like, "Oh, you might be drunk." And then after the show, he come up and like just went, "Can I get your photo?" And he had like an actual camera, and he didn't want to be in it. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so glad I didn't take the piss out of him for being asleep in the show, because that was just somebody that was like, you know, just getting through life."
That's why I think we got to fucking label them, man.
Pigeonhole them.
Yeah, just give them a wee armband with like a fucking star in it or something to just let us all know that they're autistic. Because they I mean, obviously, like nowadays, like back fucking 30 years ago, especially our grandparents' generation, the word autism fucking didn't exist. Like, and people just
nobody could get like the level of care that they needed, because it wasn't acknowledged. It was just seen as bad behavior, disobedience, like all that stuff.
Yeah, I need to be way better at like, as somebody who knows plenty of autistic
just
people.
Assume autism.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my goal from the Get Forward is, have I ever seen a kid being shitty, which is, it'll go autistic from 5. And that'll be like...
And then mean.
No, that's what... Yeah, autistic chav mean. Like, I'll be like, once they give an interaction back... Because there's been other times when there's been shitty kids that have given me stank back. And I'm like, all right, you're just a wanker of a kid. And in that, I've removed myself from the situation, but...
I mean, if the... it's pretty low calling an autistic kid ugly on the inside. That is low. But you didn't mean it.
Oh no, I
meant it.
I dragged my son down by the fucking, and it was psychotic. Like, it was like, man, it was like, you know, to not react to somebody. It's not like Killian wasn't crying. He was shrieking and screaming and like visibly upset about it, while this killer just fucking continued to drag him by his fucking thing through it. Like,
here's something: you didn't leave George from his Mice and Men with toddlers. Like, even if you're nipping for a coffee, going out for a smoke, like if you're correct in your assumption, then he should have had helicopter surveillance.
That's what Cara was like. She was like, you know, man, it must be exhausting for the fucking parents. Like, we don't know what it's like to raise an autistic kid. It must be the worst. Not the worst, sorry, but just in terms of like how present and on the fucking ball you have to be all the time. Like, I don't begrudge any parent fucking taking a wee time out to just lose themselves in social media while they think their kid's being fine. But
I feel for it's always fucking shitty when it's two blokes going, I feel for dads, and you're like, your show is literally about that. You know, when the dad's been at work all day and then they come home, and obviously the mother who's been looking after the kids going, oh, they're yours now, like, take these. Like, it's not like the dad's then going, right, here's me tools, swap jobs. It is like if you've been like grafting all day and then you come home, so like you probably would be fucking exhausted as a dad.
But he also wasn't like autistic. He wasn't like, you know, I was having a conversation. I was having a conversation with him.
The fact that it wasn't immediately obvious, and he was
and the fact that he was like, I'm allowed to do what I want, you know. Again, when you look back, you're like, oh god, that is an autistic stance to take. But again, you could just be shy. Maybe he was 7. Maybe that's just...
Yeah, maybe that's just that age.
Right.
And then you start like being authoritative with younger kids. You know?
Yeah, I mean, because most of the time my patience is quite like, I don't mind it, like I can, you know...
You used to do that with him.
What?
You used to knock him around, didn't you? Pick him up and that. I did it with my sister. Like, I would like be the bullish older kid that was like...
Well, he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Not
bad. And then he took your kids through the Fringe. Kaelin got sung to by the Shanty guys. Yep. Are they called Shanty?
Shantaram?
Shantyram?
No, Shantify.
Shantify. So they were doing some like kind of... It was one of them things where you're at the festival going, oh yeah, of course, there's just men singing in the corner on camera. But they were like doing some kind of BBC
they're like the whole Shantify thing is they just like turn musical numbers and big pop songs into like sea shanties.
And then Kaelin was fascinated by it. And then the camera crew come back and going, oh, we're going to need to pick a bit of that up. But and he was ready for them to sing again because they compiled themselves ready to sing. But it was just like 4:15 at the whatever venue it is, and he was totally gutted. So I just stepped in and went, he thought he was going to get another song, and he have another song, and they done a shanty version of Country Roads.
Yeah.
And then now Caitlin's like a super fan of Shantify and ended up going to the show.
Yeah, man, and we thought, me and Cara were placing bets outside. We're like, how long is this kid going to last in a fucking 50-minute show? Cara was on 20, mine was on 30, but we managed to like sit at a table at the back. So like, I mean, don't get me wrong, half an hour in, he was like, snacks. And we're like, sure, we can give you some fucking snacks. And also because it's not spoken word, so I'm like, you can eat some crisps while they're singing. But we open like the crisp packet, make sure that he's not rustling or anything like that. And after every single song, he was like, more, more, more. And me and Cara were over the moon. We're like, fucking yes, we have a fringe kid. Like, if we can just get him into this. So we're seeing
That's good, actually, because once you've done something that he likes, whether it's a rocket ship or a swing or something, you'll go more or less before he's hit the ground.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were doing something that made him go more and then did the more, that's the type of show that's going to be for him, the like small pockets of excitement throughout the show.
Oh, and just the chance to like, me and Cara love the Edinburgh Festival so much. Like, obviously, in recent years, not been able to do it in the way. Oh, that's not true.
Last year, you were a punter at the Fringe. It was a belt of that one.
And so was she. She I mean, certainly not as many nights out as I did, but she was able to go see a bunch of shows. Obviously, brand new fucking 12-day-old baby. Different scenario.
Yeah. Because Caelan was about 6 months, wasn't he, at the first Fringe that he did, the 2022?
Yeah, we were 6 months then last year, year and a half. So he's only going to get better. Ayla will be a bit shit next year in terms of it. It should just be one.
But like, what's good with like the artist bar abattoir, like they'll be at an age where like grandparents can be around and you've got a hub, and like you could go see something and then Cara could, and you could end up doing like a full day just being in the artist bar instead of your living room.
Oh man, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday we're going to be at Fringe every day. Thursday we're seeing 2 shows. Friday, Cara's parents come down and they've never been to the Fringe before. Like, they've seen shows at it. Like, they've gone to see.
Haven't?
No, they have. They've seen shows at the Fringe, but they've gone in to see a show and then they've gone fucking home. They've never like.
They've went back to Aberdeen.
Or back to the house.
Yeah, okay.
They've never like been in.
Oh, they've never hung out and had a night out at the Fringe.
No.
Oh mate, I had an iconic night out at the Fringe on Friday night, because I like always look at the Fringe and go, them days are behind us. Like, I'll never have like the mad big ones anymore, because like I'm living in Glasgow now, so it's like a to and from. And I had some friends that will not use their names because he's got a job, and we ended up going to see Ryan Cullen. So I did my show, did Cullen's show, and then while we were at Cullen, the Askin sisters were looking after Peggy backstage at the Nucleus, and we come back to get Peggy. It was her bedtime, so we took her to the student accommodation. So basically I was doing to and from Glasgow, and then found out there was the student accommodation available for a week, and just went, fuck it, I'll have it. Bought the accommodation for the week and lived at the Fringe, which, by the way, hadn't done that since like 2011, because obviously from 2013 I was living at yours at your old house, which is a bit out of town, so we'd always get the taxi back and have the after parties, but I've never been like waking up in the city centre. So Peggy's not allowed in the student accommodation, so we have to sneak her in. So we've got like this papoose, and then put the Natalie scarf over her and sneak her in. So we just said to stop, just wait here backstage. We're only going to be like 20 minutes, but like, it's going to be a long night. Let's take these mushrooms now, and they'll kick in by the time Peggy's in bed and we're at abattoir. So we take our mushrooms, and I'm putting Peggy to her bed, and kicked in the accommodation, and was just like, oh, Natalie, we've got to get back. Like, empty stomach, like just metabolized it immediately. I'm like less than 15 minutes, and I was starting to just be like fucking wide-eyed at the world. And I'm walking back, and the fucking streets of Edinburgh just turned into this kind of like anime, like fucking all the reflections look drawn, like all the lights and the way it hit the thing, everything just like as if someone had traced the world and then just like superimposed that on everything I saw. And I'm walking back just like, and I was like, doesn't know those two.
Yeah.
He's never met Kate and Amy. I've put him in a room with 2 people that he doesn't know, and then fucking pop mushrooms in his mouth.
Said his name.
Damn it. Keep an eye on that, because I'm going to do that a lot. And I come back into the room, and sure enough, he's just gnarled up in the corner, just going, "Is this a fucking wind up?" Like, he was proper mad at us. He was like, "I've never met these in my life, and I'm trying to compose myself." And it turned, he's in good hands. They're our people, you know. But the fact was, he was just trying to just keep normal conversation, and he was trying to hang on, talking about Cullen's show, talking about what he's been up to, his movements and all that.
Right, and the universe is just like nothing's real.
Just the world just fractures into this, like, fucking, what's that over there? This has changed, that's moving, like, fucking everything's happening. And it just spun him out for the next while. Like, because then we walked to Abattoir, and that walk was meant to be sober. We were far from sober walking back. Like, the world was insane, and he was just like, "Kai, what the fuck? Where we're going?" And he just, like, because it spun out at the start, he just couldn't level himself. And he must have said my name, I'm gonna say, about 30 times. Like, you know, a toddler in the car. "Dad, are we there yet? Where we're going? Where we're doing? Dad, Dad, Dad." And, you know, sometimes he would say my name and I'd look, and he didn't want anything. And I'm also tripping. And then it took us, I'll try not to use his name, it took us going, "Mate, it's like being with someone that's shit on drugs." It's like I've got my mate who's shit on drugs with us, and I've got a babysitter. Yeah. And you could see just the little bit of him that was clung on to the real world went, "I don't want to be that guy." And then we had another friend who had just took it for the first time, but he arrived like we were already up. And I was like, "You've got to set an example for him, man. The last thing he wants is to look up and see you, somebody he knows to be good on drugs, to just be
Who's the new one?
wigging out." Ryan, who I don't think will mind that I've said it, but nah. I was just like, just try and fucking rein it in a little bit so it's not spinning him out when he's about to launch off in like 15 minutes himself. And then I get at the Abattoir, and what a strange place to be when you're in a different realm. But I liked it. It worked for me, like, because they've got so many just like lots of aesthetics going on. Like, they've got like like wallpapers, trees, and everything just becomes like disconnected from its backdrop. So that seems to be like 3D. The chalk on the chalkboard and stuff, like, it looked like that was like moving silver flowing letters, but it was away from its, like, the amount of times I touched the chalkboard because it felt like the chalk was disconnected from the chalkboard and like sitting in front of it. So I was just
you looked like you were on drugs.
Oh. Like, also, what a great place to be high in that nobody thinks it's a crime.
Aye.
You know, like, it just got around the bar that there was a table full of those 6 away. There was a table of 6 away that were like, kind of had a couple of people helicoptering us that weren't like Brett and Kate and that weren't high. So they were just like,
somebody behind you being like, "You're an ugly man. You're an ugly man. You're an
inside and out."
To be fair, I don't think I said inside and out. I think that might have been an addition there, but none of it makes me look good.
No. Oh, there was this bit though where, you know, when sometimes you don't want to be making decisions, right? There's this alcove bit that seemed like a good idea, and we'd booked it out because we knew what we were going to be doing, right? And there's like couches there, the table's wedged in, and then there's just like room for a couple of seats here, but then it was just a bit busy with how many there was. And you're like, should I bring a chair over from somewhere else and bring it in, or should I just stand here, or should I just try and squeeze on the couch? I ended up stood there probably about 5 minutes, but time dilation, just like, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do, and eventually just like me and my mate just went and sat somewhere and just rode out the acceleration of the come up. Right. And then we're eventually like all gathered round in this thing, but like everybody knew what we were doing, but it just didn't feel like anyone was looking down on you. It didn't feel like anyone was just like, "Oh, these guys," like it just felt like we were just this little attraction in the middle of the bar that people were enjoying. And then I bumped into Cullen, and I'd seen his show, and I was lucid enough in my own mind that I could have a conversation with him about it and all that. And like, he didn't enjoy that particular night, but I was like, "Man, there's so many punchlines in there. Like, what a good show." And I'm chatting away to him and just trying to just have the conversation you would have with someone whose show you've seen. But man, his eyes started tracing where it was like eyes above his eyebrows.
That's his actual form.
And what? I saw his true form. Mate, he just had eyes going all the way up. There was bits where I was like tired of him, and I was wanting to look around the back of his head to see if the eyes kept on going.
He's like, if I got something on my forehead, you're like, "I'm making eye contact."
Nah, my eyes are up here, I can see. Fucking plural. So it was just a bizarre night. It was so good. And there was this Ryan ended up like, where
I was just about to try and make a joke there, but I've suddenly realised I don't know I don't know the non-offensive term for Japs high.
Oh shit! I even just used it as if that was the scientific word for it before.
Aye, what's the actual medical
I thought
term
it was
for
just
the opening of the
Urethra.
Urethra.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Should I not have said that earlier?
I don't think you did say it.
Did I not?
No. I was going to make the joke that his eyes were going up there, and then this eye was going up
I
there.
think I might have said it about like plunging shite doing it earlier.
I think you could probably still call it an eye.
I didn't think the slur
Call
was
it
the
an
worst
eye.
thing
Yeah,
about what I
You
said.
could just call it an eye, I guess. Yeah. I guess you could just call it an eye.
Oh, the German smile is what the Japs call it. Tight smile.
Is that what they call it?
German smile. It is, ask them.
Oh, I'm not biting this
The
bit.
German smile.
Just small and smelly.
Occasionally spits on you. So there was a bit where Ryan was just having this like, mushrooms are only good if you're living in the moment and if you've got like no worries and all that and you can focus on that. If there's anything like snapping you out of it, going like I'm needed for something, that's going to be a bad trip. And he just couldn't, he didn't know what was real because it was his first experience on it, right? And he's like, I just don't even know what's real or not. Like, I don't know if like conversations are really happening. Like, I'm struggling to process, because it's not just visual. Like, that's how they make it look on movies, because that's all they've got to work with. But it's a real body high as well. So it makes all of your senses be a little bit skew with, because it's receiving things from the world and then just interpreting them differently to how you normally would. Yeah. So he was just a little bit like that, but we had him in a good spot where he was sat between me and Amy, and he was thinking about like, there's no way I can get a taxi and get back to my accommodation like this. But I'd started to level out a bit to the point that I was like, I can get in a taxi with you, and if like I need to get you into your bed, I can get you into your bed. You can just snap out of that. So like eventually he was out of that. But what snapped his mind was there was a little emblem on this, like there's this ornate coffee table all like carved and nice, and then there's this emblem that's like kind of embedded into it, and it was a picture of a man playing a lute to a woman in a dress, like a kind of Victorian kind of bit of artwork, and we were both getting the same thing. The guy was playing the guitar. He was playing the lute and she was just kind of moving and enjoying it, and you could see the pair of them just having a moment. It was like because as well, like you're not like, there's not like a blurry lens on the world like there is when you're super drunk or super high. It was still as if I'm looking at it with my eyes now. I guess the best I can explain it's like on Harry Potter when like the newspaper comes to life.
Aye.
And that's happening. And me and him were just looking at this emblem for ages, because that was what was bringing him back into this moment. And he was getting to live in
And
the
from
present.
everyone else, it's just like you're both facing impending doom of just.
Oh, to everybody else, we're giggling at a coffee table, man. Like, to them, we're just looking at these fucking idiots and we're just like, look at that. For ages. Best time. Iconic night. Like, one of my favourite Fringe nights in the last, like, whatever it's been, 14 years.
And I was, I cannot tell you how, like, I miss the Fringe in the sense of, like, me and Cara miss being obviously going out to be able to see shows and drink until a sensible point in the evening. But there's no part of me at the moment that misses performing.
I've been enjoying my show now.
Aye.
I've been really enjoying doing my show. I couldn't have pushed the Fringe back far enough if I had it my own way. I would have just been there going, snooze. I would have snoozed that alarm until it was the fucking next year, right, if I had my way. But that's how I write, unfortunately, and I'll not fucking get a show together unless I've got that fucking bullet to my head. So I was...
Bullet to the head, much less of effective way to threaten someone with a gun to the head.
Fucking, I will hit this with a hammer. But because I really fucking zoned out of everything else in my life and focused just on my show because of the panic, like I wouldn't read a book, I wouldn't play a computer game. Like there was a certain point, like a week or so before the Fringe, which should have been a month or so before the Fringe, where I didn't even let entertainment in. Like obviously the football's finished, which is a lot easier when that's the case. Yeah. And I listened back to my first couple of previews and they were just so wordy because I was trying to buy time to remember what was next. So I was taking like double setups to each punchline, and I'm listening back and there's a much quicker route to A to B on all of these jokes here, and I just eventually like tightened them in, added new bits with the extra room that I'd made, tightened them in, and now I've got a show that I'm like, oh, this is a fucking great show. Like my dad thought it was my best one. I'm not sure yet because I always compare it to the last version.
Oh, your parents were up?
Sorry, my dad and my sister came up. My mum didn't make it. She's physically struggles a little bit with the stress of the fringe.
Aye.
Like,
Oh,
she
man,
can go on
it's a
day-to-day
lot to
life,
take in. Aye.
you know, but like all the walking around and moving places and all that, and not having a comfy seat all the time. Like, she's got like arthritis and all that. Like, she just didn't feel like she was in a position to come up. But my dad come up, and he reckons it's my best work. But I'm still looking at the best shows of previous years and going, I've played like some of the material from them shows to your crowds at like fucking Palladiums and shit. Whereas this one, I've only done previews in this Fringe venue. I could kind of see how good it was when I was doing Dan Nightingale and Friends, and I played like a clubby audience. I could see that the material was like fucking bangers. But now I'm starting to get to the point where I'm just super comfortable with it, and I don't mind being distracted, and I can get on. So I'm having a fucking class Fringe now. But it was a bit touch and go at the start, where I didn't think I had a product, and I'm trying to get online and sell it. I'm like telling everyone, come buy tickets, because normally still I'll have it ready for the previews, and I'll just go, like, you're just getting a half price ticket here. This was the first time where I was like, it's only worth a $5.
Yeah, I think for my next show, which won't be for a fucking while, I mean, I'm going to take a really, really long run up. Like, because I'll not be doing the Fringe in the Fringe capacity ever again. I'm not doing a full month of every fucking day. That doesn't exist.
I was talking to Tom Stade's son, Mason, and he was going, it switches. You start off at the Fringe where that's the end game.
Aye.
That's you trying to put out your best work for people to see, and then it gets to a point in your career where this is me getting it ready to take it on tour.
Aye,
and it switches goal.
Aye, I just think there's a way. I just think I'd rather get it in the fucking clubs, because get working in clubs, because then it's like, as you said with the Dan Nightingale thing, it's a neutral audience. Like, that's the most important people to. I can make my fans laugh. Yeah, that's fucking easy. But the goal is to not make my fans laugh.
Just go on unannounced.
Yeah, the goal is to make people who've never seen me before laugh, because that's how you start as a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, and that's how you get new fans.
Aye, and then also making sure that you make their fucking friends laugh.
Yeah. I've decided, I haven't, like, this isn't a concrete decision, but I'm pretty sure, like 90% sure this is what I'm going to do. Now that I'm on a good form of writing and trying stuff on stage, I'm going to keep it going into next year, and I'm going to do the Fringe next year, just so I can miss a step and do it on odd number years. So the even number years, when there's a football tournament on, I can just go out and live at the football tournament and then watch the football without this like monkey on my back. Gan, you've got a show to write, because I've been like every other year for the last while, and it's fucking even numbers. Yeah. So I mean, luckily the World Cup year didn't matter because it was in fucking. But the years coming up, if I do that 2-year cycle, which I think's the healthy way of doing it, 2 years. I think every year, it got where we needed to be. Like, it's mad that we done fucking 10 years or 9 years or whatever it was of like every single year. But now I think because you've unlocked more parts of the world and you can tour for longer and not just in the UK, then 2 years is fine. But I'm going to, instead of making it 3 years before my next one, I'm going to do one next year and then do 2 years after that.
Well, we're having no more fucking kids after this.
So that means the tour bus is going to be class, and like, you know, when you finally decide to date again, when Ayla's Caelan's age now.
Also, I got no material for the next show because fucking her birth wasn't traumatic. You know, she didn't try to. They were super, super on point. Also, just to be a man talking about the female body and a woman's right to choose in terms of fucking pregnancy. So I know where I'm coming from. I think fucking. What's it called? The needle on your back? The
Epidural.
I think those should be compulsory.
Oh, yeah. So man, I don't know why they're acting hard. Yeah. If that's an option.
Yeah.
Like are the women who aren't getting epidurals, are they the people pretending tattoos don't hurt?
They got to be. I think like it really feels like the male equivalent, because Cara had lots of it. Like, so Cara didn't want an epidural. She wasn't against it with Caelan, but she was like, if I feel I need it, have it there. But we've also sort of, from the stories we've heard from other friends, I think the NHS does not want to give women epidurals on their first one, because I think, and this is just purely conspiracy theories, because we had a friend of ours who went in and was like, we want an epidural, and like even with that, she didn't get one in time, and we were like, maybe that's because like you need to know how to push. You need to know how to push, and if you're numb from there down originally, you just don't know what a real push feels like. Because I remember with Caelan's birth, Cara pushing, screaming. It was only about fucking 20 minutes of pushing. But
She's
it was
at one with the push because she feels every
it was there.
bit of pain with it.
The second time we go in.
So that's the logic.
This time we go in and she's like, they're like, do you want an epidural? She's like, I have it on standby, but if I can go in without it, I want. And I'm being the bloke in the corner being like, if you were, blokes approach pregnancy in this way. If I was pregnant, I'd want it to be an elected C-section with all the drugs in the world. Just take it out to me and introduce me to the fucking baby 2 days later. Whereas obviously women go from everything like, I want completely natural, or they go, I want a home birth, or I want it to be a water birth, or any number of things. And maybe that comes from like just growing the thing inside of you, having more time to think about it, and like more time like bonding with the baby.
Plan? Yeah,
more time bonding with the baby.
Well, as it Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the cunt.
Aye. Yeah. We go in. She's like 4 centimeters dilated, and they give her a hormone drip, which is like to just increase the contractions.
Which 4 centimeters, like what size of a penis?
Yeah, I mean width.
That's what I meant. I meant width.
I know, that's what he said. So she gets the hormone drip. It makes the contractions way worse than it was last time, but they start coming in. Cara's getting used to them, but they're building up. Gets to the point where they're really, really brutal. She's like, I think I can do this without the epidural. She's got 3 hours on the fucking hormone drip, and they check her again. She goes, all right, it's got to be like 9-10 centimeters dilated. And they go, 5 centimeters. So
like, 1 centimeter, 3 hours. And
she's like, get me the fucking epidural.
Yeah, why not, man?
Goes in.
Why not?
Gets it in the spine, obviously. Doesn't hurt. She's not like me when I got my fucking fillings done, where I was like, I need you to give me painkillers for the painkillers. Like, I need some...
Oh, yeah, you need to numb that area before you put the injection in.
Yeah, 100%. There was none of that. Cara just, like, takes it in the spine, and they're like, does that hurt? And she's like, I'm having contractions. No, nothing else hurts. Right. Doesn't kick in immediately. Slowly, sort of over time, gets better. At this point, it's 12 at night. We've been there since 10 in the morning. I'm in one of those chairs that sort of reclines out. I've been playing fucking Red Dead Redemption on the Switch all day long. On the Steam Deck. And eventually, like, Cara's just in a place where it gets to the point where they're going, okay, that's a contraction. And she's going, what is? And like, you're having one now because they've got her on a monitor. She's like, I can't feel it. Oh, I guess. And I'm just sitting laughing like, really? Because I remember the contractions from 3 hours ago where it was like super painful.
Yeah, you couldn't concentrate on catching your rabbit in your little side quest.
I'm just like, all right, I'll put both headphones in if you're going to be like that. Gets to the point where she falls asleep and I'm reading my book at this point and I just go, fuck, I'm just going to close my eyes just for a bit. If she's napping, I'm napping. That's what they say. When they're sleeping, you should be sleeping. And then a midwife comes in and pokes Cara and goes, baby's coming. She goes, what?
Like half asleep.
Oh, no, not half asleep.
Fully asleep.
They're like, the baby's coming. She's like, go tell Daniel. They sort of hit me and they go, the baby's coming. I'm like, okay. So we go up. I'm like, okay, Cara, we can see the crowd there pushing. And like, Cara's pushes are, like, the final one on Caelan, they were like, it has to be silent, swallow there. And she's going in for the push. This time, Cara's like, I'm going to make the noises because I feel like they want me to make the noises. So she's like,
like a tennis player.
Yeah, hi, ma. And I'm like, is this sore? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay. And I'm nowhere near that end. I've got no interest in seeing the fucking business end. And they're like, okay, that's the head out. We went, what? She's like, yeah, the head's right there. If you want to come down, you can tap her on the head if you want. And I'm like, I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'll wait 3 minutes. It's not. They're like, say to Cara, do you want to come down and touch it? She's like, I'm okay. I'm with him. I'll just fucking wait.
How impatient do you think we are?
Right. And then I swear to fucking God, they go, okay, Cara, big final push. And Cara goes, okay. Was that enough? And then they handed her a baby, and we went, what?
It's too good to be true.
Aye, unbelievable.
Where's my show?
Not,
I don't even get a show of it.
No.
Fuck's sake, we're going to have a third.
Zero trauma, zero fucking stress. And because obviously the placenta didn't come out with the last one, and that's how Cara lost heaps of blood. This time, no blood. Like, Cara lost 150 mils as opposed to like 1.5 litres. So literally 10% of what she lost last time. Baby came out waxy this time. Just fucking, because there's a wax in there that obviously lubes it up to get it to come out. Very little fucking blood.
So, like, because Kaelin was in there for a bit longer, he didn't have that waxy sheen. He just got the...
No, and also because she was just fucking... Placenta didn't come out. She was just leaking blood heaps. So he came out bloody. They had to fucking wipe it. And look, to any pregnant women out there, for the love of God, don't take any of my advice on what your journey is with your baby.
Listen to me. Much more knowledgeable.
If you are on your second kid, right, and you've done the experience, you're a warrior. You've nothing else to prove.
You've already got that in the bank.
Right,
no one can take that away from you. You're brave.
Yeah. Even in fact, man, don't be wrong. Like, I guess it's like women must be exhausted by the fucking narrative that like men are bigger and stronger and have all this. Like in terms of like them being
you've
the ones
seen us getting kicked in the bollocks, and that's fucking and that does hurt. It does hurt, but fucking you kind of put that in the same ballpark as childbirth.
So like maybe there is, especially for Cara. She was like, I don't need it, and she's like, I don't need it, and I'm like, it's not about need, man. It's about what make this easier for yourself. I do think it's a pride thing, which is fucking fair enough. I'm prideful about way more less personal, stupid fucking things. If you're on your second, your third kid, and you've never had a fucking epidural, from an outsider perspective. Even, like Cara came in and was like, I would do it for the...
Put it in the right way up though. If you take it upside down, you end up, you'll be able to feel everything from the waist down, and then everything from the waist up's limp.
No, but then we can't...
You've got to have the needle the right way up.
But then we can't hear you screaming, so that's fine. That's solves the problem. There's
drooling and that. You want to scream, but you just can't.
Like a baby centaur. Because, like, obviously, foals come out fully able to run, but, like, humans don't.
So they're just flopping around with a big baby head on a centaur. Just like a floppy head.
Oh, no, just a floppy head. Fully floppy upper body. That's the theory.
But it can walk. It can walk. You just need to walk around with its head in a bit of a splint. That's how you hold this baby centaur. You just walk around with it.
Yeah.
That's tough, actually, especially if you're a centaur. Because how are you going to do that with hooves? It's quite difficult, actually. That's why I didn't see many of them. They perish in childbirth.
While we're on the topic of being offensive about women, let's get on to the Australian breakdancer.
I read an alternative narrative to what actually happened.
Go on.
And I read it on a Facebook post, not a news story, but a post. My sources are flawed. That it was anarchistic, in that it would be actually really, really hard to get 0 points in breakdancing, and because breakdancing is meant to just be a subjective expression of art, and then people are sat there on a panel judging it objectively, that she went in and done the perfect 0. And it was planned.
Still took that opportunity away from what I assume. I've got no doubt in my mind there are fucking children of colour in Australia who are infinitely better at fucking breakdancing. This 36-year-old white chick took off. I watched it and like obviously enjoyed all the memes, and I was trying my best to sort of like not attack anyone for giving it their fucking best, going and doing something fucking differently. I did watch it in the same way that I think most women watch straight white male stand-ups, which is just watching it be like, how fucking dare you be this confident with this ability? Like, I finally understood what it must be like when some boyfriend brings their girlfriend to my show and they're just like, all right, he's fine. Like, he's not the fucking worst I've ever seen, but that ego is coming from fucking nowhere.
It was so comical. Have you seen it with the Peter Griffin voiceover?
I've seen all the memes.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
And I've got massive respect for the Aussies that are throwing themselves behind her, like understanding that she's just had a fucking torrid time online, and they were like, you know what, she gave it a fucking Aussie go, and that's what this country's about.
Haven't we had stuff like that in the past with, like, I mean, the Jamaican bobsled team, famously. Yeah. That was a true story, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Cool Runnings. And then you had that swimmer who everyone was just fucking really rooting for. Like, the swimming had finished ages ago and he's still going. Yeah. And like, there's kind of historically somebody that's just like way back of the pack. But look, this is the best we've got to offer. There's no way she was the best. There's no way she was the best Australian at breakdancing.
100%.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, because this is what I think, and that's
how I was inclined to look at that as a valid argument, is that she was just like being anarchistic and going against the system to try and get the perfect 0.
The way
Because that would be hard to do.
Well, the way you go against the system is, look, the Olympics is unfair in just the sense that, like, most of the time you qualify because the reason you're the best is because you've had the most money behind you from childhood, right? In terms of, like, that's why you get to go to, like, whether it's diving school, whether it's the equestrian shit. You just from a young age, like, the more money you have, the better training you're going to get.
The kid who was the best in my sports day in school, like all the way through school, he didn't stand a chance of getting anywhere on a level because there was no infrastructure for him to be placed.
Yeah. So it's like in that aspect, like, she's there because, like, you know, she's the dancer that the Olympic Committee in Australia see, and it sort of feels like, especially with, like, skateboarding and breakdancing and all these new exciting sports that I'm really glad are in the Olympics. I'm like, expand your fucking search. Like, there's no way there aren't fucking kids in Australia on the fucking streets, like, and I don't mean like living in poverty,
but laying down cardboard,
but literally out there fucking doing it. But the only reason they weren't selected is because
they took someone that went to dance class.
They took someone who went to fucking dance class and wrote a fucking thesis on it.
Aye, is that right? It's so funny. It's like, that's like, I was watching and this has to be a joke.
Well, I hope
this is like, it's like Sacha Baron Cohen got up and done it, like, got himself into the Olympics and did it. Like, I was half expecting that it's going to just drop some film where, like, that was the punchline.
Yeah, I mean, I do hope that she's able to see the funny side of it eventually. Like, man, I can't imagine
But the theft of opportunity is absolutely fucking rife in subjective art forms, like, because you fucking sometimes you'll, like, wince at who you see on TV in our game.
Yeah, that's why the hype, man. And I say this is someone that was given those opportunities on TV that almost definitely took it away from working class comedians. And again, man, I've benefited from it. I was able to do the Fringe from an early age because my parents paid for my Fringe. I was able to pay them back, but they were able to put down the $5,000.
Oh, the money up front for the poster campaigns and for your accommodation and all the stuff that would normally get you at the Fringe. That's not available for a fucking 19-year-old from Blythe.
Yeah, I'm in the same position as her. Like, I've hugely benefited from the system sort of being rigged in my favour there to sort of succeed compared to working class people. Right, but I've never been that fucking shit. That's not because true. I was about to say, I've never been that shit at the public stage. I fucking bombed at JFL. I'll just keep my mouth shut.
The Olympics done now. Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that it finished? I reckon the Fringe might have been hit a little bit by the Olympics this year because it was probably cheaper to go there if you're from, like, you know, if you're in London or something and you've got the choice of going to the Fringe or going to the Olympics. I think it was a cheaper option to go to the Olympics. Yeah. This year, like, the periphery cost to the Fringe has been fucking mad.
Next one's in LA, and I'm like, it's 2028, and obviously depends how the fucking American election goes. But I would definitely be interested in going to.
And you've been proper studying the American election, haven't you?
Massively into it.
So what's your tips for the bookies?
Well, I mean, I won money. I knew it was going to be Tim Walz.
So you picked the VP?
Picked the VP, won money on that. After the Joe Biden, Donald Trump horrific fucking debate, I put 50 quid on Kamala Harris to be the next president of the United States at 33-1 odds, which is now obviously looking real good.
What's that odds now? So it must be like 2-1 evens.
Evens.
Yeah.
Aye. I mean, look, you can never ever underestimate how racist, sexist, and ignorant, like, the average American can be.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And also how powerful the disinformation campaigns are, how powerful the misinformation campaigns. You've got Elon Musk online practicing with the Venezuelan election, trying to pitch that it was stolen, even though it fucking wasn't. But he's on there already spreading.
They're already getting the fucking rigged election before the election's even started.
Elon Musk bought Twitter. This is my conspiracy theory. Elon Musk bought Twitter in order to interfere with the American election so that he could sow the same amount of fucking disinformation, because they've not become any better at it. They've just become better at hiding it. And it's,
but surely you've got a bunch of people who are, like you say, are racist and are sexist and they'd never vote for Kamala Harris in their entire lifetime, but they might just forego their vote now. Like there might be a lot of folk that are just going, I'm not voting for her, so I'm not voting.
Well, yeah. So
like,
basically,
you may get like for the first time a fractured right.
Yeah. That's why
one thing they've always had going for them is they've like been organised and turned out.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the left are getting a bit more organised and turning out now that we've got the younger ones coming through.
In any previous years, high voter turnout normally means a high amount of Republicans, which means they win because of the excitement surrounding Kamala Harris at the moment. And by the way, the huge advantage that she's got at the moment is the fact that it's a 100-day race. I reckon, like, if she had been selected 2 fucking years ago, if Joe Biden had originally stepped down like he said he was going to do, then it would have been a different campaign because they would have had more time to attack her.
They've only prepared for the doddery old man,
which is
and they've got doddery old man offensive against a relatively young woman.
And like the thing is, Donald Trump isn't good at campaigning because he's just so angry at the moment. And when he's angry, he says more and more insane shit. And the more and more insane shit he says, the more voters he loses. The reason I think, right, and the reason why no Americans are saying they think it's going to be a Kamala landslide is because you, as Democrats, they cannot risk being too fucking confident because then people will be like, well, if you're so sure she's going to win, we'll just not turn out, because that was in part why Trump won the first time. And also just because Hillary was such a fucking horrific candidate.
Get out of your own way.
Aye. But like, I feel like since Donald Trump's never won the popular vote in any of the fucking elections, since the 2019 election, he's become a convicted felon. He has.
So does he go to jail if he doesn't get in?
Oh yeah, that's why he's losing his mind. Ooh. Not 100%. The system's still fucking rigged, but you've got a prosecutor in Kamala Harris who's going to come in and hopefully redo the system. Joe Biden now gets to do what presidents do when they know they've got no fucking term left. When they're like, hey, I'm going to do a bunch of unpopular shit that you're going to fucking hate because I can. Suck my fucking dick. I'm not getting re-elected. I don't give a fuck.
So he can say what he wants now.
Well, he's suggesting and trying to get. I mean, it won't go through, but he's trying to get Supreme Court things not overturned, but like change the system because they've got unlimited terms. Trump stacked the Supreme Court with 3 fucking loyalists who are the ones that changed the rules that basically said that presidents can't be prosecuted for things they do while in office if it's part of the job. But there's plenty of good lawyers out there, including Kamala Harris, sort of looking at it being like, okay, we can still use this against fucking Trump. Trump is not campaigning well. He's getting very, very angry because he know all he wants to do is say the N-word. That's all he wants to do. That's what he's saying privately. That's what he just wants. He just wants to say it, but he cannot do it. And he's getting so fucking wound up that she's got all of this.
What are the odds on him saying it?
I mean, I would love to message Paddy Power and be like, what are the odds?
What's the bookies' odds on him on record saying the N-word? I'll put a quid on it.
I would put way more than a quid. I would.
You don't want to make more than 2 quid, do you?
So look, my gut says it's a fucking 50-50 race, and it'll go down to the swing states, and it'll be an electoral college win. But my heart genuinely says fucking Kamala landslide. Anything can happen in the next fucking 98 days, I think it is. Like, but at the moment, all of the news cycles are on Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. The Democratic convention is in a week, which means it's a positive news cycle for them for another 2 weeks. When the news is not on Donald Trump, he loses his fucking mind. And the only way he knows how to get the attention back is to say insane fucking shit.
So what's he currently saying to try and get the attention of people? Is that what that big fucking Tesla truck with his face printed on it and all that was?
Oh, no.
Is that him just being like, fucking look how he has?
No, that was his son Barron Trump is really into this fucking, one of the dumbest Twitch streamers of all time. And
Team Muggins.
And had his dad Donald go on the Twitch stream to try and get the youth vote in it, and then during that time the stupid fucking cunt gifted him this American decorated Cybertruck, which you can't do, by the way, because you cannot gift candidates gifts over, I think it's $5,500.
So he had to reject it?
Yeah, he had to fucking but they're all fucking insane.
So that's not his move. That wasn't his go insane move. Was to be dragged.
Well, no, sorry. So it's one at the moment is because of like he's got it in his head that like he cannot stand that Kamala Harris is getting huge fucking crowd sizes, because that was always his thing, right? Mm-hmm. And because he's so far into the right wing, he was on Truth Social, because he's so into all these fucking conspiracy theories. He's like, imagine an almost dumber Joe Rogan. somebody managed to sort of post this thing, an AI generated photo of a Kamala Harris crowd as she's getting off a plane, right? And that was an AI generated image, but the crowd that she actually got was similar size. Somebody just posted this thing to be like, it's all a fucking illusion. This is all fucking AI. And then 1,000 people who were in the Kamala getting off the plane thing have videos of them being like, we were here. None of this is there. He's on Truth Social being like, she's lying. It's AI. This is the chance to...
He's just trying to claim fake news on it all. So he's still singing the same shit that he's always been singing.
He's calling a stolen election 98 days out.
Oh, God.
So there's just fucking... Look, anything can happen in those fucking 98 days. Kamala's not done any real fucking interviews.
I feel like this is your new like Love Island. Like,
and there's also like before it was self-flagellation. Before I was like, man,
you're watching this for entertainment now.
Well, yeah. Before, like after the assassination attempt, I'm like, well, that's that. I mean, look, fucking respect to Donald Trump in this aspect. To get
I had a moment
shot,
of acceptance where I was like, oh, he's in now.
To get shot in the fucking ear, right? And to have the Secret Service pin you down to the ground and for you to go, nah, I'm going to stand up in front of the American flag, I'm going to pump my fist in the air, and I'm going to yell, fight, fight, fight. Fuck me dead. That is a level of like, that's what he's good at. He's able to, that's what he was always good at, selling like the fucking image of himself. The second I saw that, I'm like, that's one of the coolest
especially tapping into the fucking WWE fucking nature of the American public.
Oh man, it was so fucking baller. And then fucking Biden went, I'm fucking out. And it's so mad. I mean, this election cycle is so fucking insane. Like, it's mad to think that there was an incredibly close assassination attempt 3 weeks ago, and none of us are talking about it anymore.
Yeah, it's moved on.
Not even Trump's talking about it. Like, he's not even. What did he do? Play the victim for 5 fucking days?
Well, it was so funny because that happened, and I went back to Blythe that the day after the assassination attempt, and barely anyone mentioned the assassination attempt because someone from Bedlington slept with his lass's mother, and the lass got in and videoed the fucking carnage of the mother. The mother had been knocked out. She knocked out her own mother, and she's asleep on the bed. She stabbed that fella, and he's fucking bleeding out in the thing. And all of the fucking chat in Blythe was about this lad who had fucked his lass's mother, and nobody was talking about the assassination attempt. It was like I'd been there for about 5 hours, and they were like, "What about the assassination last night?" And they were like, "Oh, that happened." Which there was as well, that lad who did it. There was this other photo that like was getting watched, the video that was getting WhatsApped around and didn't end up online. And one of the lads had it in the pub that night. And he gets out of the fucking taxi back to his mate's, I guess. And he gets in, he does this little fucking he's like all patched up from bleeding, and he just does a little dance like, "Oh well, I had a mad one."
That's his version of fight, fight, fight.
Yeah, and he stole the news cycle in the whole of the Northeast. So, that's a wrap. Nice catch up.
All right, good. That was sweet.
And then I'm still going to...
Also, but very importantly, sorry, look, I know all the listeners of this podcast most likely fucking lean left in America. You do have to vote, right? You still have to vote.
If you want the two of us to come back to America, it really has got to be.
Maybe Trump will be sound in a second time. I mean, nothing that he said or anyone there.
We did do a Trump term tour, didn't we? 2019 was a Trump term.
Yeah, but he hadn't stripped it all down. He didn't have the Senate. I don't think they had the House. And it wasn't loyalists around him. Like, that was when he was firing people who wouldn't do what he did. That was a learning phase for Trump. Now he understands that he has to fill it fully with loyalists so he can get whatever through. So it would be different in that.
We might have to wait for that storm to pass before we could have a date again.
Well, no. I mean, look, man, America, even if Trump does get in, most America is centre or to the left of it, but it's just for those people turn out to fucking vote. The people will still be there. The country might be a bit fucked, but I think as straight white men will be fine.
I'm still at the Fringe though, so if you're in the UK, you can see me at the Fringe. I'm also doing the UK tour, which is like most major cities, but like missing out some of the little ones. So you might have to travel a little bit to get to Brighton or Birmingham or whatever. And then I'm doing a European tour. Like Dublin and Vienna's been released. Look, keep an eye on my website because as they get released, I'll put them on. I'll have that updated by the time you watch this. But the European dates are starting to drop now. So don't know what's going to happen with America next year. We're gallivanting, but UK and Europe's already in place. So You got to say it.
And if you want to be like me and far too just to bombard yourself and waterboard yourself with American election stuff, the way I keep updated on it all is I listen to Pod Save America, I listen to The Bulwark, which is like a guy who used to be a Republican who, ever since Trump came in, he's like, I am a Republican, I believe in the old Republican values, but for the time being we have to beat Donald Trump because he's a threat to democracy. Tim Miller, he's fucking awesome. The Ezra Klein podcast is really good. Yeah.
Great. See you soon.